What if the real competitive advantage in manufacturing isn't automation or AI, but a leader's ability to make fast decisions, build unbreakable teams, and turn daily chaos into measurable performance? Welcome to Industry Ignited, the podcast where we sit down with leaders transforming industry through innovation, operational discipline, and bold execution. I'm your host, Dr. Leeanne Aguilar, and today I'm joined by Meher Billimoria, CEO of Transformation and Growth in Mumbai, in India. Meher is an accomplished manufacturing executive with 27 plus years of experience driving operational excellence, performance management, and financial results. Meher, welcome to the show.
Hi, Leanne. Happy to be
Hello.
here, and thank you for inviting me on the show.
Yes, I'm pleased to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Now, you started your career early, diploma in mechanical engineering, then straight into manufacturing, including helping set up an automated production line at a time when automation in India was still rare. What did those early real-world challenges teach you that classroom learning never could?
See, these are two completely different worlds. I mean, when you come from the classroom and when you are in the industry, both have their own ecosystems, which are way, way different than what you expect when you are out of the classroom. But shop floor, as I say, is the mother of all trainings. Whichever field you are in an industry, be it marketing, finance, or sales, or whatever other field, inspection, or whatever other field, it's there. Shop floor is the base training that you need. What shop floor taught me very early in the life was humility, but it also taught me its consequences. I mean, machines don't wait for theory. They just move on. I mean, they can't wait for theory to catch up. Early automation work, you showed me that discipline beats brilliance. You may have a lot of brilliance, but if you don't have the discipline to implement, you will be nowhere. Similarly, if you have a lot of discipline, but little less brilliance, you might still make the way. So that is what my early days taught me very clearly, because I was raw from my classroom and straight into the industry without any experience. And I was given a very big assignment for my level at that time to completely set up a new greenfield plant with automation. And automation in those days, I'm talking about 97, 98, was very, very in an early nascent stage in India. I mean, to see automated lines was something out of this world for us in India those times, and to build one is something different. So, I mean, shop floor taught me another very important thing, that small deviations compound very fast in manufacturing. All the other fields also they compound, but in manufacturing particularly, it compounds very fast. Within a blink of an eye, if you are just here by millimeter here or millimeter there, you are done. It's matter of rejection and acceptance.
Right. So precision matters.
Precision matters a lot.
Yeah. And so how did you find support in those early days? I mean, with automation being, such a new concept there in India.
I was really blessed to have a good senior team who was experienced in automation. And more important than that, they were inclined towards training the young cadre. So that was another important lesson that I learned very early in my life, that if you want your projects to succeed, or assignments to succeed, a team for you should be at the topmost priority. You can't have an egoistic approach towards, that I am the senior, I know the automation. I mean, let me do it, or you just do it as I tell you. You don't ask questions.
Right.
You understand? So that was where I was really blessed. I had a really good senior team who taught me. Right? They taught me fishing rather than giving me a fish to eat.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned humility too, just how it
Yes.
humbled you in a way. Yeah.
You have to be humble, because you encounter people from every aspect of the life, be it the topmost management to the ground level workforce that you are. And every individual, so many individuals in a day you encounter, every individual comes from a different background, and every individual will have a different day on that particular day. So a lot of variables, and until unless your humility is there, you are not going to grow up there.
Yeah.
You will not be accepted.
Yeah. I think that's an important trait when you're learning anything, is being humble, so you are able to absorb information and really hear others who know more, the
I
news.
would
So not,
like to, I recollect one very famous line by one very American sports coach. I forget his name. His name was Yogi Berra. Yeah. So he said that in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice. But in practice, there is.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a very big line if you understand it. I mean, theory is theory. There is no difference between theory and practicals. But when you are in practice, there is difference between theory and practice, because in practice there may be a lot of other variables that come into play. In theory,
hmm,
no variables come into play. So this
yeah.
is a very important lesson which I learned very early in my career, which helped me a lot.
Now, you spent 8 formative years learning structured excellence inside a large enterprise. What parts of that experience became the foundation of your operating philosophy today?
Well, a larger ecosystem is always way different, way different in its way it percolates down the order. If it's top driven, it's very good, but majority in organizations those time in those days in India was still bottom driven kind of, due to a lot of reasons behind. And but I was lucky again to be with Godrej, a very well renowned MNC in India, with very good ethical values, and the culture there was always top driven. So the like when I was with my earlier stint in VVF, my first stint, it was a small organization, not a very small organization. It was a small organization, but it was not a structured organization.
Mm,
So here I've learned the structured part of it. Like your day cannot go without standard operating procedures, audit governance, zero NCR thinking. That experience shaped my belief that freedom comes from structure.
interesting. Yeah, that seems like, counterintuitive. Tell me
Yeah.
more about that. Tell me more about how freedom comes from structure.
See, once basics are non-negotiable, teams can innovate safely. Like if you give a freedom to a person to act within the bounds of structure, he knows exactly what to do. You can't just tell a person that this is your task, you do it, you get it done however way you want it to be done, and then if something goes wrong, then you are to be blamed for. No, that it doesn't work that way. You give him a structure that this is the process, these are the ways you need to handle the situation, and within that structure you can always innovate in then, and then you can do it yourself, and then if something happens, then I'm there.
Right.
So that is how that works. That is the freedom you get when you are in structured organization to
Yeah.
work.
So it's really working within, established boundaries, the guardrails. And so
Yes,
gives you
guardrails
that
are
level.
very important. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're working with a young team.
Yeah, right, exactly. So they have confidence. It gives them direction, confidence,
Exactly,
and
exactly,
so they
exactly.
have the expectations that they know that, you know, they can win within those guardrails.
It also made me learn a very important thing is institutional memory. Systems, if they are implemented, processes if they are put forward, they will work irrespective of individuals. If the individual changes, still the system will work, the process will work. So
Hmm.
that is what I term it as institutional memory.
Yeah. So then you made the leap into entrepreneurship with Fusion Fabricators and scaled it for over 15 years until COVID forced a major pivot. How did building your own company change the way you lead compared to being a leader inside an established organization?
So this mindset of being in a structured organization, a well established organization, helped me transcend from being in a big enterprise to starting and running an own enterprise of my own. Building Fusion again changed my lenses completely. I mean, towards industry, towards my role in the industry, towards a leadership role that I always thought, because suddenly from being a small part in a bigger organization, I was a bigger part in a smaller organization, which was all my own. So suddenly the words started cropping up: cash flow, credibility, people welfare. You are now personally responsible for all that. Up till
Right.
now, it was the organization that was responsible for all that. Now you are personally responsible. I mean, even a single small mistake had its consequences, immediate consequences. And the consequences were not limited to the people working with you. They had families. So, I mean, your in effect responsible for not only those people working with you but their families also. And a little
Yeah.
mistake here and there is detrimental, actually.
Yeah. So a
So
whole new level of
whole
responsibility
new
and
level, whole new
yeah.
world of responsibility. But it taught me something again very important as a leader, to be resilient. And the most important thing that till date I always tell people when I speak, and decision ownership is very important. I mean, how culture shows up when systems are in place, but decision is yours. So to own the decision, whether it is right, wrong, detrimental, good for growth, whatever it is, own it.
Yeah.
As a leader, if you don't learn to own your decisions, then people will not respect you. And a leader always has to command respect rather than demand respect. I mean,
Yeah.
you are not a good leader if you demand respect. It has to be commanded.
Good
And it
advice.
and
Yeah.
it I was a leader in Godrej, but Fusion made me a more humane leader, because I started thinking about welfare of my own people. I started, before taking any decision, there one more point came into play, that one more variable came into play, that what about these people? Like, I mean, if I take decision, if this goes the wrong way, if this goes south, what about those people? What about the families of those people?
Yeah.
So it
Right.
made me a more humane leader. That is what Fusion taught me. And I learned to listen more carefully. Maybe hear people out. Up till now I was just listening to them. I started hearing them out. That changed me a lot.
Yeah. Now, during the post COVID transition, you experienced a period of uncertainty and reinvention. What mindset habits or support systems helped you keep moving forward when the future wasn't clear?
So as life always has it, I mean, every person has their own ups and downs. So during COVID and post COVID, I had my down periods. But those down periods again strengthened my belief in adherence to the schedules, keeping things very simple. I started to believe that matrices don't judge people; they expose the systems. So what happened during COVID was I had to shut down Fusion because of various reasons, and I was at the lowermost, you can say, of my life, lowermost point of my life. But then at that point in time, because of my previous association with Godrej and BVF, I had learned there that there are always ups and downs. And once you are at the top, bottommost position, the only way you go is up.
Hmm.
There's no other way to go. No sideways, no down, straight up. So
Yeah.
that kept me going.
I like that perspective. Right. So when you
It
hit the
it
bottom,
it
the only way
also
to go
taught
up.
it also
Yeah.
taught me, very important thing, that you have to be always prepared for uncertainties. I was Before COVID hit, I was not prepared that I would be shutting down Fusion. Yes, there would be losses, there would be difficult times. Never in my wildest dreams I thought that both my partners would tell me, we want to back out, you carry on your own.
Mm.
So planning for uncertainties, or being ready for uncertainties rather than planning, is a very important lesson. How you take that down trend in your path, like, without being distraught or without showing it to the world, taking it, absorbing it. It is a very important thing as a leader also, because when your team is down, to absorb that force, it is a leader's job.
Yeah. Now, your results are highly measurable. When you walk into a new operation, what are the first metrics you look at to diagnose where value is leaking?
My only system of, whenever I go into a new this thing, is I build cadence. I daily hurdles, toolbox meetings, clear escalation paths, and visual management. See, I believe that what is seen can be measured. What is visible can be measured. So visual management is very important. Secondly, clear cut escalation paths. You need to have clarity for your team. The talent and skill is never a question when a person joins an organization.
Mm.
The concerns are clarity and the burnout. When the person is not clear about what is to be done, as a team, I look up to my team leader, what is to be done. And if my leader is not able to give me clarity, there's no respect for the leader. So what I do is I gauge the situation by daily hurdles. I clearly chalk out the escalation parts. And as I said earlier, leaders must absorb the shock, so the team does not. I mean, if something goes right, You take the credit. If something goes wrong, I am there sitting here. That should be the
Yeah.
attitude as a leader to build a team.
So you emphasize that manufacturing is daily uncertainty with endless variables, people, suppliers, customers, machines. How do you build a management system that absorbs volatility without burning out the team?
Volatility is a part and parcel of manufacturing. Managers are there to manage the uncertainties. That is for that. And coaching only works after systems are fair. So again and again, I'm enforcing on systems and processes because that is the only way where an employee or where a team member feels secure.
Right.
And
Coming
one
back to
very
that
important,
freedom.
yeah, and one very important thing I learned in my martial arts, we have a saying that form comes before force. So that same saying applies to any industry or any shop floor or any manufacturing setup. If you don't give form, if you don't draw a line, if you don't give guardrails, then once you have that, you push it whatever way you want and it will move forward without this thing of
Yeah.
getting derailed.
Right. So form before force. And that's a good analogy or something you brought from martial arts.
Analogy from
That's
martial. We always
interesting.
have this analogy in
Yeah.
martial arts. We work towards form first. So
Uh-huh.
in martial arts, we say that when you are a black belt, is the time that you have just started knowing the martial art. Till that time, you are just to do. So that
Yeah.
is why form is very important. And then you develop your force. You give force to it, and then it will flow in the direction of the form.
Yeah. Well, and that's true because if you have a weak form, let's say, and you put, reinforced strength behind that, then what are you
So,
reinforcing? Something
so
weak.
as I believe, any team is as strong as the weakest link. That is again what martial arts taught me. One
Hmm.
of my senseis taught me that being behind the weakest child is what improves the team. And it goes very well for the industry norms. Because if you are not looking at the weakest link, if you are not going to strengthen up your weakest link, then your team is going to break. And it's not one time activity that this one is the weak link, I strengthen it and then I'm done. No. As a leader, it's an ongoing activity.
Hmm.
Because the moment that weak link becomes strength, another weak link crops up. Because
Right.
somebody has to take that place. And again, as I said, they are weak links because not because of talent or skill, but because of clarity more than anything else.
Interesting. And so you focus on strengthening the weakest link to build a stronger chain.
For this, I remember one very famous quote by Mike Tyson, the boxer. So he used to say every fight he used to win by knockout. So he used to say everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah. So how do you identify whether performance gaps are skill, will, clarity, or process? And what's your approach to lifting up the whole team?
See, that's exactly what I just said. If you are forming a system, if you are forming a pathway for your team to move ahead, it will be easy for them to move ahead. Most failures are process or clarity issues, as I said. If there is no process, nothing works. Attitude is never an issue until and unless the person feels that he doesn't have the clarity. The opposite person feeling that he doesn't have a clarity is an indication to the other person that he has an attitude. It's not about attitude. He's not clear what to do. So he can't figure out what to do. So as a leader, you have to be focused on giving clarity to your team.
Really
Again,
clarity.
coaching, however much coaching you give, if the systems are not there, it's not fair. It's not going to work.
Right. So creating the form first and then being very clear with your team
Yes.
around, how to work
Yes.
within that form, how to implement, and then from there, that
True.
creates the stronger team. Now, you've said delayed decisions can quietly create massive losses. What's your framework for making timely decisions with incomplete information? And how do you make the decision right after you choose?
So how I look at when to make a decision and how to make a decision is I wait till the downside of waiting exceeds the risk of being wrong. You understand my point? I if a decision has to be taken and if I have some apprehensions, I will wait. I will dwell by the data. I will go by people's voice. I'll figure out various ways to take a decision. But
Mm-hmm.
if I feel that the downside of this waiting to take a decision is far exceeding the risk of being wrong, then I would take a decision quickly. I correct it with fast data. And as famously Mr. Ratan Tata said, that I don't wait for a right or a wrong decision. I take a decision and then make it right. So I almost follow that principle in my day-to-day life, most of the times. Not that I'm Ratan
Interesting.
Tata, but
Yeah.
it's a good way to move ahead as a leader, because then, as I have seen, a lot of negative growth has happened because of the right decision being taken at the wrong time or a delayed time.
So timing, it's more about timing than about being right or
It's
wrong.
it's 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 only about timing in the decision
Uh-huh.
making, because rest all the data is always there. The people are always there to collaborate or to corroborate rather. But decision is yours. So as a leader, if you have to take a decision, if you don't take a decision at the right time, then you have failed as a leader.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more important to be decisive, to go forward, make a decision based on the information you have, and then, depending on the outcome, then you
And
adjust
I'm
and
not
make
saying
it
you will
right.
be right
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe 5% of the times you may be wrong. But that would not hurt that much as it would hurt if you don't take a right decision at the right time.
Hmm.
So that 5% is always absorbed in the 95%.
Now, in one of your roles, you helped drive an expansion from roughly 5,000 to over 100,000 square feet and did it while building demand and supplier capability in parallel. How did you sequence that chicken and egg transformation so growth didn't outpace execution?
It was a difficult situation because investors and promoters and stakeholders, I mean, you can convince them up to a certain level. You can convince them to invest double, triple, three times, four times. Here I was asking them to invest for about 20. So it was a huge ask. But what I did was I locked the demand signals. I showed them the supplier readiness, and then I showed them the internal capability. I built a team and I showed them that internally we are capable. We have an extending arm as suppliers. They are ready to go at a go, given a go. And I logged the demand signals. I showed them that this is the demand. I'm giving you the demand. I'm giving you the supply. Here, it's a question of just, putting a little trust in me. And then once it was done, tight governance and daily reviews prevented the drift. There's nothing much. I mean, as long as I said, you have a good team and you know how to lead a team, it's very important. Operational excellence is all about data
Yeah, data. So you really just demonstrated that you had,
and
yeah.
culture and
Mhm.
systems. As the famous management consultant Peter Drucker once said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can have a
Yeah,
thousand strategy, but if you don't have the culture, no strategy works.
right. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So the I built a team ground up in that assignment. Of course, it was not my job as a CEO to select the team, but we were in such a situation that if a wrong team is selected or a wrong person is selected, both will be at a loss. The organization as well as the person who is selected would be at a loss. I value culture. I mean, I value culture as much as the skill that you have. I mean, it's for me, it's equals. Like, I mean, if you come from a good background, cultured background, if your basics and fundamentals are well organized, then you are the right guy. I mean, you can learn anything. You may have a certain skill gap of say 20, 30%, but you are a very culturally fit guy
Yeah,
for a role. Then I would go for that any day with my eyes closed. I will just say, take him. But if I have a skill gap of say only 5%, but culturally he's not fit, I would rather not go for that guy. I would
yeah.
rather have that role vacant and wait for the right guy. So culture is very important because see, in an organization where these are two separate individuals, as a team member and as a leader, if cultural wavelength doesn't match, then I will not be able to explain my thoughts to him. I will not be able to percolate my thoughts down to him. And if that doesn't happen, then of course no force would make him do the work.
Yeah. Okay. So it really comes down to an understanding to it. Culture instills that deep level of understanding and maybe even work ethic and expectations
It's all
and
part of a culture,
mindsets.
right? I mean,
Uh-huh. And so it's easier to work with that even if they don't have the skill set, because you're saying it's easier to teach the skills and
skill
teach them how
sets
to
are
do
easily
something.
teachable, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily teachable. Even a 50% lacking skill set person, but having good culture, I would pick him up.
Yeah.
Because then the onus or the this thing stands on me. How to train him, how to teach him, how to make him do the, and that is all about operational excellence. I mean, if you have systems and processes in place, so there's a famous saying that if material is there, man will follow. So how will man follow? Man will follow by right guidelines, by systems, by processes, having giving him a guardrail, giving
Hmm.
him a belief that If I am fall, my leader is there to pick me up.
I like that. Yeah. Now, you've built businesses by focusing on process, automation, and vendor ecosystems, not just headcount. How do you decide when automation is the right lever versus process redesign, supplier development, or capability building?
You will be surprised to hear this from my mouth. But when I say this, I really have gone through it and I have really learned it the hard way. Automation has to be the last thing, not the first. If you don't fix the flow, if you don't fix the if you don't standardize the work, if you don't erase the variability before digitizing, then what you will digitize or automate is going to be inefficient. So you are in effect automating the inefficiencies. So
True,
it's
right.
better. Again, the principles of operational excellence or leadership are same. It has to be system oriented, process focused. If you don't lay them right, if you don't make your systems fix first, then whatever you automate would be a wrong thing that you would automate. It would automate faster. So more inefficiencies would be automated. You will develop more inefficiencies in your system.
Yeah,
So automation to me is the last thing that I do. Once I realize that yes, now the processes are streamlined, everything is in place. Now we need to jack up the productivity. So now automation is required.
yeah,
You don't get anybody to do something wrong, you know. You get somebody to do something right. So first you have to have that right thing in place, and then you automate that.
yeah. Right. And I think that that makes sense. That right, that it's logical that you get a clear and efficient process in place first. You really think about the flow
Technology should not
and
should
yeah,
amplify discipline, not replace it.
yes. Right. It's the amplification. That's a good word for it. So automation is amplifying the systems that you put
Discipline.
in place, yeah,
Yeah.
that are already efficient. You've led across entrepreneurship, consulting, and executive roles, and now you also pursued M&A merger exposure. What's the hardest part of change management when merging cultures, operating rhythms, and expectations across organizations?
I would say the hardest part is rhythm, not the structure. See, people struggle when the decision speed, accountability, and communication styles clash. If my decision speed clashes with somebody, then we are not a match, right? So accountability is another very important thing which every individual in a team should have, and that will come again only through the culture that I talked about. If
Yeah,
I'm making myself accountable as a leader, I don't see a reason why as a team member you can't make yourself accountable. And
so
communication style, my
yeah,
I believe that I know I do over communicate initially itself, but in the end it's of value. Like I send an email to a person, and then if I have another way of communicating to him, I would put a text message that I've sent an email, please go through it and reply back.
yeah,
Because I don't want the email to be lying in his inbox for 4 days and then replying, because ultimately that will hurt me taking a decision,
right.
not
Yeah, so
taking
it's
rather not taking a decision on time.
so taking accountability for the communication, so making sure that he receives
So
it.
when these
So
things
right.
don't match, so that there's a structure inside wherever you go to an organization as a consultant or a management consultant, there's always a structure inside already which has been running for a few years or decades maybe. So the rhythm is the biggest hardest part to change, because they are used to those 9 to 5 jobs. They are like, I come at 9, I go at 5. Now this guy is coming in and telling me you do this. So like maybe I have to wait after 5 o'clock to do the work. So here what happens is that why change is feared. Change is feared because people value in excess to what they have rather than valuing what they will gain after the change. That
Interesting.
is the fear. That is the fear
Yeah.
that they have. Maybe as I said, I'm a 9 to 5 guy. If you're telling me something to change, my first thought is how much more effort would I have to put? This is going very well. I'm coming at 9. I'm going at 5. Things are working well. Company is working. What is wrong?
Uh-huh.
But he doesn't understand that if he subscribes to change, he might finish that work 2 hours before. He might take up more responsibility. He might grow up in the organization. He might earn well. His work life balance would be better. And still he would go at 5 o'clock.
Interesting. Right. So people, right, just tend to focus on what they're
So
losing
people
and
overestimate the value of what they have
what they
rather
have.
than
Mhm.
and they underestimate the value of what they are going to get. They
Yeah.
don't know because they don't have the idea what change is going to bring to them.
Right.
That is
I
why
think
change
yeah,
is always feared.
there's fear, right, in the unknowing because they don't know, in the uncertainty. And instead of focusing on the possibilities, they're focusing on what they're losing or the uncertainty. Exactly. Yeah. Now you're operating in a packaging ecosystem where quality, compliance, and speed all matter, often under NDAs and tight timelines. How do you drive innovation while protecting confidentiality and executing at pace?
See, I basically separate the creative spaces from the execution lanes. So a small trusted group of team, tight access, and parallel work streams to protect confidentiality. That is how I navigate through NDAs, which I got to learn from this merger that I had in my recent assignment with Clarion. And discipline, again, as I said, discipline enables innovation. So when I have the discipline of separating the execution lanes from the creative spaces, I am by default, helping that clause of confidentiality. Clear, clear cut boundaries. They reduce rework and leaks. Like everybody should know what they are supposed to do. Clear cut role definitions, clear cut responsibilities. So that reduces the rework, that reduces the leak, and the balance is really critical in regulated environments. I'm telling you, matlab, this balance slightly tilted towards the other side can give you way different results.
So
So
again, clarity, coming down to clarity and just establishing
yes,
those
yes.
expectations and then the
Those
communication,
are
like
the
you mentioned.
fundamentals which I learned early in my stage are right through till now, 27 years I'm in, and every stage I get those fundamentals to work.
Yeah, right. You've seen firsthand how quality can mean very different things across cultures and standards, like your story about painting expectations and the gap between we followed the process and this is unacceptable. How do you build global quality thinking into teams that may not have had that exposure?
So I see quality not as a checklist, but as a mindset. As I told you the story about the painting thing that happened. So it was completely about the mindset. When we first painted it to their requirements to my foreign counterparts, our mindset was this is the best. I mean, this is the best we can do, and we have done so far. We have never done such a job. But only 5 seconds into the inspection, and that person said it. It's not acceptable. So, and when he showed us that what is the difference, that is where the mindset comes in. Our mindset,
Yeah,
it's like a if you put a glass in a fish pond, fish tank, for some time the fish may strike to the glass and go back. Then after some time, if you remove the glass, still the fish will turn around from that point only. It won't. So it's a mindset. Now the fish knows that I have to. So every person is there with a mindset. Whatever he has learned in his past assignments or past life, he has come with a mindset to wherever he is right now. That is
right.
where,
Yeah,
again, as I said, cultural fit is very important. That is what I see when I mean a team is to have a cultural fit. Because if you are a fish that is going to go around after striking back to the glass partition, then that is not what I expect. You have to check it every time that there's a glass partition, then you can turn around. But if there's no glass partition, you might as well go ahead. So
yeah.
my mindset is very important. So as I said, quality is a mindset to me, not a checklist. That you may have 1,000 checklists to ensure that quality is there, but if the mindset is not there, even those 1,000 check boxes won't give you the right quality.
Exactly. Well, and I think also I know with your painting story for our maybe tell the story because our listeners, haven't didn't hear
So
the story that I
we
heard when
were,
we.
yeah, it's an interesting story. So we were into a merger with another merger with UK company when I was with Godrej, and they had slowly done the technology transfer, and finally they had given us the last thing they wanted us to do was painting because they also knew our mindset. So they would take the fabricated components over there to UK and paint it themselves. But then it became very difficult. They wanted to sell it in India also. So they said, why don't you start painting? So they transfer the technology to us. And they said that, in fabrication, we can do a little bit here and there. But for painting, you need to stick to the basics and you need to stick to the checklist and whatever it is. So we did exactly the same. And like we did our best. Like, I mean, we thought it was out of the world for us when we painted the product, and we kept it ready for them to come and inspect. And the director came in. It was a lot of show and pomp that we took him to the place where the component was, and We opened kind of a curtain to him, like, see how well we have done. And 5 seconds into it, he just dropped his head, like, I mean, Meher, this is not the quality that I expected. And we were all shell shocked. I mean, what best could have been done? We have adhered to whatever you have told us to the T in the letter, and still your quality is not acceptable. So, very important thing, that director himself said that now you give me a component, I will paint it for you. And as a director, also, he worked himself in the paint shop. He didn't allow us to be there. He said, I will do the painting and I'll show you. Then I'll tell you what is the difference. He painted the job and he took us one morning, he said, put both the products together and now you tell me whether there's a difference or not.
Yeah.
And there was a world of a difference, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So that was a mindset complete. I mean, our thinking was blocked to that level only, to what we had done. We couldn't expect, we never thought that it could be still better. I mean, what could be still better? Our mindset was that. So that taught me a very important lesson, that mindset is very important in any field you work.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
mindset comes to cultural fit.
yeah, and it gives you I mean, that's a great example of, I mean, expectations as well. And since you were given parameters and you followed everything to the T, and very proud of what you had done, but without having, experienced that before or seen the contrast and in an example, then how would you have known, really?
Right.
So you really needed somebody to come in and show you exactly what
That's where
they
the leader comes
or
in.
yeah,
That's where the
exactly.
leader
Right,
comes.
right. And it comes to that clarity and
I don't know. I don't know
demonstration.
who said that, but I remember us saying that quality is never an accident. It is
Yeah.
always the result of intelligent effort.
Hmm.
I don't remember who said it, but I always keep it in my mind. Since this incident happened about 20 years back, no, more than 20 years back, almost 25 years back. Initially, when I was into Godrej. So it still remains with me. Like, I mean, mindset change is to look at it at a different angle as a third party, non biased view is
Hmm.
very important as a leader. And this has helped me gain assignments which are way away from my profile. If you see my profile, all my assignments are the industries for the first time that I have been with. And I think I have done well in them.
Yeah. You said there's no shortcut to hard work, and leadership is about growing people, not just managing output. What are the core leadership behaviors you believe separate good plant leaders from great CEOs?
So great leaders, they grow their team quite faster. They don't have the apprehension, they don't have the bias that he might take my place or he might overrule me, or developing a faster team rather than numbers. So I should focus on getting my team developed faster rather than when I'm joining a new assignment, or if I'm in the assignment also, if there's a new project, my aim should be to develop my team first rather than the targets or overachieving the targets. Because if the team is developed, then you can have a repetitive performance again and again and again, and you can improve on that. But I mean, if you are focusing on the numbers, you may achieve it once somehow by pushing, by struggling, whatever you want to do, but that's it, then you won't be able to achieve it again.
So it's really
So,
focusing on quality, on developing a team that has
quality of the
excellent,
team rather
yeah,
than
skills.
numbers.
Yeah,
The
focusing on
second lines are very
excellence.
important.
Yeah.
See, I mean, if I don't have a second line developed, if I see my second line as a threat to me, then I'm not a leader. Because I'm also human. I may fatigue someday. I may have some reason someday not to report to work. If I don't have my second in command, the work stops. The
Hmm.
systems may run to a certain level, but for certain positions, you need a second level person.
For that
So,
redundancy.
second lines
Yeah.
are very important.
Yeah.
Mostly people perceive their second in line as threats and they never train them, they never develop them. So, it's very important for your own development to have a good second line.
Right.
Because once you have a good second line, you can focus on your own development also.
That's great advice. And I've seen that in practice as well. And you're right. A lot of people feel threatened by the seconds. And so they withhold information and are afraid to,
I really
yeah.
invest heavily in the successors and
Uh-huh.
capability depth. I mean,
Right.
I would not mind my second in line to overshadow me and come to my place.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
don't see that
also,
as a threat.
yeah, because it holds you back too. Because if you're the only one who knows how to do something, you can't move on and do bigger and better and
Right,
greater things because
right. Exactly. You
you're
can't
you're
develop your own
uh,
self.
you can't develop yourself. Yeah, that's really good insight. Yeah. Now, finally, Meher, for operators, founders, or next gen manufacturing leaders listening, especially those navigating disruption, AI, and speed pressures, what's the one principle you want them to carry into every decision they make this year?
I think that principle is common for all, which everybody knows, but very rarely anybody implements, which is that never trade speeds for shortcuts. Never. I mean, there is no shortcut to success. There is no shortcut to growth. There is no shortcut to transformation. Do the hard work upfront, develop processes, develop people, give them clarity. I mean, there is no second way to do this thing. There is
Mm-hmm.
no shortcut. You may have AIs today, you may have all the automation today in the world. But as I said, if you're automating something wrong, you're automating more on a larger
More of
scale.
it. Right.
On a larger scale, you're automating. And this is what is happening today. Today, with the I'm not against AI. In fact, I use AI a lot to, in my day-to-day work to simplify my work. But AI is being used in a wrong way also.
Mm.
So AI is a shortcut. I mean, if you're using a shortcut, not today, not tomorrow, maybe someday you will fall back
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
there is
that can
no
be
second
dangerous.
thing
Right.
to hard work. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
compounds quietly and protects you when the volatility hits. If you do the hard work, you can't see the hard work immediately. I mean, you can't see a person getting to a CEO level from the ground level very soon. I mean, very rarely you see that until unless he's an exceptional talent or he's the promoter's son or he's the director or whoever. I mean, there's no second thing. I mean, because hard work, it literally works very quietly. You don't see it, but it protects you when volatility hits. So when the things are difficult, as I said, the COVID was difficult for me. That is where the hard work paid me. That is where the hard work told me how to stay afloat.
Yeah. So there's no
So
shortcut to hard work.
no short. If you see the buildings, the most strongest part is the foundation, right? If you don't have
Mm-hmm.
the foundation strong, if you don't have the fundamentals strong, you can't build up.
Yeah. That is very good insight. I agree. Definitely. Well, Meher, thank you for such a candid and practical conversation, especially your perspective on building strong teams, making timely decisions, and driving measurable outcomes in environments where normal days don't exist. For listeners who want to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place to connect with you?
It's LinkedIn. I mean, that's the best place. Or what can I say? I'm
All
always
right.
available. I would like to end this
Good.
with one sentence, which, if anybody is aspiring to be a leader, is there listening to this. I mean, I always believe that leadership is all about action. It's not just a position. I mean, people think you are a leader, you are at a position, done, then dusted. No, that position is all about action. And if you don't subscribe to that thought, then you will be left aside.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah. So leadership is about action. That's a great takeaway. Yeah. So, for everyone listening, please reach out and visit Industry Ignited. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a colleague and tune in for the next conversation. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep igniting industry.